The beauty, the majesty, the alert quiet of nature and her creatures. These are all around you in wild, wonderful West Virginia. And today there are dynamic programs underway that will inevitably put this remarkable state in the mainstream of productive change in America. The movement springs from a sound economic base. Thriving capital goods industries are located here because of unique combinations of resources, a vast transportation network, a versatile labor market, and a sound social and economic climate that welcomes industry and helps it prosper. The word is out that West Virginia is the place you'll find limitless opportunity, exceptional educational resources, a stimulating intellectual climate, and a world of natural beauty, usually within walking distance. The vanguard of a new culture has already arrived. This movement, blending with the proud, rich native heritage, has created important new beginnings in science and industry, agriculture, education, recreation, the arts, and in the lifestyle of West Virginia. Happenings in West Virginia suggest that if new dimensions in human fulfillment are to be achieved in America in the decade of the 70s, they may well begin here. The interaction begins here at the seat of government, one of the most beautiful of all state capitol buildings. The grandeur of its facades, the marble halls, are the work of the famous American architect, Cass Gilbert. In the State House today, there's an urgency to get things done, like the highway program. Major new superhighways enable West Virginia to capitalize on its strategic location squarely on the crossroads of the United States, where the east meets the west and the north joins the south. Highway construction is underway across the state, making whole new areas easily accessible to the growing commercial and cultural centers. In education, we have already achieved a position of leadership. We have elementary and secondary school programs underway that are being studied by educators all over the country. For example, Grandview School has been one of the pioneers in the trend to ungraded classes in elementary education. There are no grade levels here. There are only 2 sections comprising what would ordinarily be grades 1 through 3 and 4 through 6.
Each student here is working at his own pace and reaching his own level of understanding. Our progressive approach in the classroom, augmented by the latest educational machinery, allow our students to work both as a group and individually to pursue their interest and learning.
Grandview School was designed to accommodate this advanced method of education. Other states are adopting this method of education because it is obviously much more efficient in developing the individual student and his individual talents. And West Virginia is proud to have helped in its development. This same kind of innovation has brought national attention to the high school program. Typical is George Washington High, rated among the 10 best in the United States.
No class bells ring at George Washington. We've broken away from the idea that every subject and type of class need the same amount of time. Our school day is divided into 21 20-minute blocks of time. We call these modules. We simply put together the number of modules that are necessary for the most effective job of teaching and learning.
Television is another fast-growing branch of the educational system, bringing programs of culture, instruction, and public service to every corner of the state. Overwhelming evidence of progress in education in West Virginia is found on the campuses of the state's colleges and universities. Major expansion programs are well underway at all of them. In the past years, millions of dollars have been invested in higher education by this state, which for years has supported more colleges and universities per capita than any other. In all the institutions of higher learning, there are important research and development programs underway in every field.
This particular research has to do with head injury. The goal of the research being developing basic information from which we can make models. This particular experiment, of course, has to do with the skull, in which we're vibrating a skull with this rather sophisticated equipment at various frequencies, and we are generating this basic information from which we can develop these physical models. This particular research is rather unique in that we and the University of Michigan are the only two facilities that have the capability for performing this work for the government.
I'm beginning to do an upper gastrointestinal series, which is an examination of the esophagus and stomach. A glass of barium sulfate mixture will furnish the density to produce the dark shadows which you will see on the TV monitor.
The human heart has 4 one-way valves. If one or more of these become diseased, replacement with an artificial heart valve may be the only effective solution. Here you see valves tested, pressure measurements are taken, and comparisons of turbulence are made. These findings may prove beneficial in improving artificial heart valves.
The wind tunnel operates by having large vacuum pumps which pull air in from the atmosphere through this large tank and accelerates through the test section. In the test section, we have a model. The test section model causes shock waves to be formed, which are just the same as if we had a full-size aircraft moving through still air. These shock waves are in reality pressure jumps, and these pressure jumps can be heard as the sonic boom. We're currently working on ways to reduce the intensity of these pressure jumps, thus alleviating the sonic boom problem.
This is a hypersonic arc tunnel, which is used to simulate re-entry conditions for satellites and space vehicles as they re-enter from space. Inside the tunnel, you'll see a nose cone mounted, which is ablating in the hot gas stream.
Scientific studies like these are just part of the day's work on college campuses and research institutions throughout the state. At Green Bank, the National Radio Astronomy Observatory has located incredibly sensitive instruments of basic research on a 2,700-acre tract of woods. They listen to sounds that come from the stars here. They use the information to make road maps of space and to investigate the outer reaches of the universe. At Apple Grove, the American Electric Power Company conducts research on high-voltage systems. The object? To determine the best way to transmit great blocks of electric power over long distances. This kind of research produced the 765,000-volt transmission system of American Electric Power. These extra high voltage lines make it possible to move the great blocks of power produced by modern generating stations such as the John E. Amos plant near Charleston, one of the largest power plants in the world. At the Union Carbide Technical Center in South Charleston, one of the nation's great research and development institutions, over 3,000 scientists, technicians, and specialists work with the super tools of our times to develop tomorrow's chemicals, paints, fuels, resins, and fibers, and the processes to produce them. At Huntington Alloys, the assignment given to International Nickel Company scientists is simply to master all disciplines necessary to create the super-strength high-nickel alloys that are indispensable to today's technology and tomorrow's progress. The plant is the free world's largest producer of nickel alloys. The metal flowing here is a highly engineered scientific product, the raw material for the nuclear reactors and supersonic aircraft, the spaceships and satellites that are part of our future. Upriver at Ravenswood, the Kaiser Aluminum and Chemical Company and 3,000 highly skilled people operate one of the world's most modern aluminum reduction and fabrication plants. This reduction plant turns out 900,000 pounds of molten metal every working day. These ingots will be worked into every conceivable shape and form, from armor plate to thin foil. When the Kaiser Corporation decided to locate a major facility in the eastern United States, they had their choice of locations from Mississippi to the Atlantic seaboard. They chose West Virginia because we could provide the key necessities: a good labor market, a favorable tax climate, water, rail and highway transportation, and long-term, low-cost electric power. For the same reasons, West Virginia has long been a favored location for the steel industry, which continues to make huge investments in our state. An outstanding achievement which has been recognized around the world came from the Weirton Steel Division of the National Steel Corporation. The people here have done what all steelmen have been trying to do since the industry began: make steel by a continuous process, from molten metal to final products. Where conventional mills produce slabs of steel from hot metal in about 20 hours, the continuous mill at Weirton does it in 2 hours. That's why the world's steel men call this the mill of the future. That kind of native industrial genius, combined with unique natural resources, has transformed West Virginia's Kanawha and Ohio valleys into one of the important chemical complexes in the world. West Virginia is #1 in bituminous coal production in the United States. Mineable coal underlies 44 of the state's 55 counties, and many of the state's mines are among the most efficient and modern in the world. Agriculture, too, is a multi-million-dollar industry. The farm economy is geared to livestock production, poultry, and orchard products. "74% of the land area in West Virginia is in forested acreage, with an abundance of valuable hardwoods. Even though this is a major industry, more timber grows here every year than is harvested. In mineral production, the state ranks 6th in the country, with unlimited limestone, salt, clays, and silica, which are the basis for an important glass industry, including famous brands of handcrafted and art glass products. Because such outstanding natural and human resources come together here in West Virginia, many of the great names of American industry have located important facilities in this state, and more are being added every year. With all the growth and industrial expansion, we're still a land of hills and streams and wide open spaces. Out here, there's more than half an acre of public recreation land for every man, woman, and child in the state. 50 different state and national parks offer an endless variety of activities and are within easy reach of everybody. Name your sport. We have it in the breathtaking beauty of the West Virginia hills. Campers have their choice of scores of sites on hilltops or valleys, deep in the woods, or just off the highways on lakes or streams. Boaters can explore miles of rivers, trailers to some of America's most beautiful lakes. Visitors and vacationers can choose the kind of accommodations that suit their taste. Some are plain and rustic, some are elegantly luxurious, and some are like no place else on earth, like Pipestem, the newest and grandest of the state parks. This is a multi-million-dollar complex. 2 championship golf courses, stables, and miles of woodland riding trails. There are indoor and outdoor swimming pools for water sports and fun in the sun. And if there's anyone for tennis, there's always a court open at Pipestem. In the evenings, outdoor drama. The park has fine shops, luxurious private cottages which have all the comforts of home and then some, and elegant dining. All this in a setting of spectacular scenery and natural wonders. No matter where you live in West Virginia, you're never more than a few minutes from open country, sweeping forests, picturesque streams, and the kind of fresh, natural beauty that most people long for but seldom see. The cultural environment of West Virginia often surprises first-time visitors, partly because they encounter it in unexpected places, like an amphitheater carved out of a mountaintop at Beckley, the home of one of the most successful and professionally respected outdoor drama companies in America. Attendance for the season, which starts in June and ends the last day of August, reaches 100,000 and more. One of the cultural showplaces of West Virginia is the famous Huntington Galleries. The grounds, the setting, and the architecture never fail to overwhelm the thousands of visitors who come here to enjoy this major facility of the arts. The galleries were the last work of the great architect Walter Gropius, and he ranked this building among his favorites. The permanent collections, exhibits, and programs of the galleries encompass all forms of the arts. Since opening to the public in 1952, this has been an active community center, making participation in the arts an integral part of community life. Most everyone has heard of the Greenbrier, West Virginia's oldest, grandest, and most elegant resort and cultural center. It's been a meeting place for presidents and kings and the world's elite for 100 years. Despite its venerable age, perhaps because of it, the name remains synonymous with culture, dignity, and gracious living. Another architectural and social showplace is the dignified and beautiful Governor's Mansion at Charleston. All our cities have their streets of landmark homes, distinguished residences that reflect the best traditions of classic architecture. For contemporary living, there are attractive, quiet suburbs just beyond the limits of our principal cities. And in West Virginia, respect for religion remains a way of life. All sects and all creeds are welcome, and all are well represented everywhere. The capital of changing culture in West Virginia is the imposing Creative Arts Center on the campus of West Virginia University. There's never a dull moment here or an idle hour. Performances in music, drama, and the arts draw capacity audiences to one of the best equipped theaters ever built. In quality and variety, the Creative Arts Center season mirrors Broadway itself. The Creative Arts Center is also a center of learning.
Included in the Division of Drama's broad curriculum is a course in puppetry. In it, students learn not only the ancient art history of puppetry, but also the difficulties and techniques of constructing puppets. In addition to the other programs, the university also operates a Puppet Mobile program, a program unique not only to the state, but to the United States.
All right, Gail, let's try this exercise here.
Good. All right, fine. Now you got everything in the right order. Can you pick up the tempo just enough to keep the song moving? Let's try it all the way through. Ready? Go. All creatures now are merry, 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 merry. The shepherd thought the shade, the shepherd thought the shade.
That's how it is in West Virginia today. The vanguard of a new culture has arrived and mingled with the proud natural heritage. The result is a lifestyle equal to the best to be found anywhere. Inevitably, West Virginia stands today in the mainstream of productive change. The word is out. This is the place to find economic opportunity, exceptional educational resources, an intellectual climate receptive to change, and great virtues of mature beauty, unspoiled and close at hand. Isn't it likely that if new eras of human fulfillment are to be achieved in America in the decade of the 70s, they may well begin here?